Here are 15 of the planet's most extreme must-see landscapes, ranging from burning deserts to towering ice fields, perfect for travel inspiration or short-form educational content. These places were chosen because they push some limit of habitability or geology, heat, cold, dryness, altitude, or bizarre rock and ice formations. They span classic hot deserts, cold polar deserts, alien-looking volcanic zones, surreal rock hills, and colossal regions of ice and icebergs. The Danakil Depression is an otherworldly geothermal basin that ranks among the hottest and lowest places on Earth, sitting in a tectonic rift where several plates are pulling apart. Its surface is covered with neon-colored mineral pools, salt flats, and steaming hot springs created by active volcanism and the deposition of sulfur, iron oxides, and salt. Northern Chile's Atacama Desert is the driest non-polar desert on the planet, with some areas receiving less than a millimeter of rainfall per year. Between the Andes and the Pacific, it combines giant sand dunes, salt flats, and high plateaus, yet still supports specialized plants and animals adapted to extreme aridity. The Sahara is the world's largest hot desert, sprawling across North Africa over an area comparable to that of the United States. Its seas of golden sand include dunes that can exceed 150 meters, over 500 feet in height, forming one of Earth's most iconic and unforgiving landscapes. The Namib is an ancient coastal desert where towering dunes rise right beside the Atlantic Ocean, making it one of the most surreal sandscapes in the world. In the Sossusvlei area, high red sand dunes, among the tallest on Earth, frame white clay pans, creating sharp color contrasts that are especially dramatic at sunrise and sunset. Death Valley in California is famous for some of the highest air temperatures recorded on Earth and a harshly arid environment sculpted by heat and wind. Here you find Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America, alongside dunes like Mesquite Flat, attracting hikers and photographers to this extreme desert basin. Badlands National Park in South Dakota is dominated by sharply eroded buttes, pinnacles, and spires that look like a stone labyrinth rising from the prairie. This landscape also experiences extreme temperature swings and protects the largest mixed-grass prairie preserve in the United States, adding ecological richness to its stark geology. The Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland and the island of Staffa in Scotland are covered in tightly packed basalt columns that look almost man-made. They formed about 50 million years ago, when fluid basalt lava cooled and contracted rapidly, fracturing into thousands of polygonal pillars that march straight into the sea. Bohól's Chocolate Hills comprise around 1,776 nearly conical hills spread over more than 50 square kilometers, creating a rolling, otherworldly skyline. During the dry season, the grass on these hills turns brown, giving them a chocolate color that has made the formation one of Southeast Asia's most unusual landscapes. Penitentes are tall, thin blades of hardened snow or ice that can reach human height and are found on high-altitude snowfields in the Andes of Chile and Argentina. These bizarre formations are oriented roughly toward the sun and arise as sunlight and wind carve the snowpack into spiky, blade-like shapes, turning slopes into frozen forests. The Gobi is a vast cold winter desert in East Asia, stretching across parts of northern China and southern Mongolia. Unlike classic sandy deserts, it is dominated by bare rock and gravel plains, enduring freezing winters and dry conditions that classify it as a cold desert. Antarctica forms the world's largest desert by area, a polar desert that receives very little precipitation despite being buried under a massive ice sheet. Its ice sheet is so large it is split into West and East Antarctic components, feeding ice shelves and icebergs that define one of Earth's most extreme, isolated environments. The Patagonian icefields drape the Andes of southern Chile and Argentina and are the largest continuous expanse of ice in the southern hemisphere, outside Antarctica. Together, the northern and southern icefields span about 17,000 square kilometers and are melting at some of the fastest rates on the planet, feeding iceberg-choked fjords. Southern Patagonia's fjords, including the region known as Glacier Alley in the Cape Horn Biosphere Reserve, are walled by steep granite peaks and hanging glaciers that calve into narrow channels. In places like Garibaldi and Agostini fjords, visitors can approach massive glacier fronts by ship or kayak, watching ice thunder into sapphire-colored water beneath snow-capped mountains. More than 80% of Greenland is covered by a thick ice sheet that weighs the island's crust down like a giant frozen lid. Around the coast, enormous icebergs and icy rocks, often streaked with green, turquoise, or blue bands, drift year-round in deep blue or emerald waters, creating one of the world's most dramatic icy seascapes. The Arctic Desert, a vast polar desert region, spans parts of northern North America, Greenland, northern Europe, and Siberia, with an area of about 13.9 million square kilometers. Like Antarctica, it qualifies as a desert because of very low precipitation, combining sea ice, permafrost, and largely barren ground into a frigid but extreme landscape at the top of the world.